40 different shades, so not 50. It is a weightless 24-hour full coverage foundation with oil and shine control, which is waterproof, sweat resistant, and won't look cakey or cause blemishes. It is full coverage, a matte finish, a liquid formula. It is for normal, dry, combination oily skins, and they have some ingredients that they say are amazing. So it's kaolin clay with bamboo powder, which helps control oil and shine, hyaluronic acid, which I love. It nurtures the skin, gives you a plump look to your skin. So even though it is a matte foundation, it's gonna help hydrate it while you're wearing it. Insane. Vitamin E, which protects skin against environmental aggressors. It is sulfate-free, paraben-free, phthalate-free. It's amazing. It's amazing coverage. So sorry for the long intro, but I wanted you to know exactly what this foundation entails, what kind of skin it's for, what ingredients are in it. It is a beautiful foundation. So you want to find out how to get this summer night eyeliner slayage. I'm just kidding. If you want to find out how to get this look and you want to find out more about how I would apply this foundation, just keep on watching. Alright, hello everyone. We are going to start up close and personal today. So starting with the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer in Eden, we are going to prep our eyes. And today, the idea, hopefully, is that we are going to be able to do a nice, warm, smoky summer look with a little bit of pop on our lid is what I'm going for, hopefully, hoping. You know how you start out with an idea and then it doesn't really come through for you. So I'm just going to blend this with my finger. I just feel like the warmth of my finger helps to continue to spread this throughout the lid. I love this primer because it gets nice and tacky and because I can feel how it is going to help the pigment come through. So the other side of that is that if you are not quick enough or if you're using a brush, I would do maybe one lid at a time because that way it will still blend out for you. Otherwise, you can do what I'm doing and just use your finger. We are going to use Morphe today, and I've got this really cute palette by them. It looks like this. And I love all of these nice matte, very creamy colors. This is the Morphe 25A palette. And so we're actually gonna start off, I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna try doing the bold crease color first. I'm gonna use this guy right here on the crease area, and then we are going to blend out with a fluffier brush. Sure. Before we even do that, I'm just gonna use my MAC Studio Fix C2 to set all over my lid. I like to prep with the primer and then I will also set it with a nice powder to help blend any more powders together. It's the same concept as when you go from all your creams or your liquids on your face to powders. You want to set something down so that things don't skip and they look nice and even. And this has got coverage too, which is why I like Eden. So if you're someone who has hyperpigmentation, darkness, very bright veins, scars, you can use Eden to help kind of give you that neutral tone and then something like a foundation powder to continue to cover. So once that is done, we are good to go. What brush do I want to start with? I want it pretty deep, but I do want to have control. Usually when I do that, I want a brush that's going to help blend, but then I also want something that's going to be small and dense enough to keep it in a small area versus spreading it out. We're not ready to spread it out yet, so we're going to start with this brush. This is a ABH Cosmetics 7 brush, and it looks like this. It's nice and dense, but then it still has some length to it, and it's small enough to where we are going to do what we need to do. So we're going to pick up that color. And we are going to start by putting it in the outer corner and then in the crease, but we're not going to go past the center of your eye. So we're going to just do this right here, small circular motions. We're not trying to blend, we're really just trying to place it where we want it at this point. Trying something new where I'm like holding a mirror. So if you see me get it in your way, I am so sorry. But I like rearranged my desk. So there is no more stand with a mirror, it's just stuff. So I really just want the color to come through. I am not trying to worry about blending it. I mean, I am blending as I go, creature of habit, but don't worry about getting it super pretty at this point. We just want to make sure we are building the color, getting the pigment. And I want to kind of bring it into that inner corner there, and I'm not worried about it being super pigmented there. We're going to create like a nice little cut crease kind of situation. Okay, so once I've got the majority of the color that I want down, and I'm okay with this right now, let's switch brushes. And I do want something a little fluffier, not too fluffy. This is the same collection. This is the BH 6. So this guy actually came with all of these from BH Cosmetics, and it's face brushes, eye brushes, and these are actually really, really nice. And I got them for like $24 a container, and then all of the brushes. Really, really nice. So we're gonna go ahead and, what do I want to do? I'm gonna pick up this color that's right here, that guy right there. So we use this one. Now I'm gonna use this to help blend everything out. And this brush, sorry that I didn't show you, looks like this. So it's a little more, not a little, it's definitely more fluffy. Where do I want to go with this? Right there. Fluffier than the first one that we used, bigger, longer. So this is gonna be a nice blending brush to help further diffuse the lines around what we just started to do. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do, what I just described, is starting to work on the outside, kind of help to blend, diffuse the situation, and start to create the shape that we were going for. So far, so good. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the lid shade. And for the lid shade, I'm really excited because we're gonna use this Tarte Rainforest of the Sea Glass, and this is in Sweet Life. And it looks like this. Let me swatch it on the back of my hand. That's what it looks like here. You guys see how pretty that is? Yeah. So this is gonna create a base for the color that I wanna put on. I'm not gonna put the eyeshadow color all over. I wanna really focus this guy as the main attraction for the eye, but I like it because when you layer colors like that, when you layer a cream or a liquid eyeshadow and then you top it with something like a glitter or a shimmer eyeshadow, it just makes the effect twice as much. So let's start with this guy, and I'm actually gonna use this guy as I would a concealer to like cut the crease. So we're gonna start with the inner corner and just kind of bring that. I like to look up to kind of stamp where I need my color to stop, and that just helps you map it out. All right, so we're gonna go back to that first color that we used. And I am going to just blend that into this cream color that we just got done using, and I want to build that outer corner up some more. Make sure it stays nice and smoky. And I actually am going to introduce another shade of orange, a little deeper. Well, now we're turning into like a reddish brown. So we're going to mix these two colors here. I know that it's difficult because they look very similar, but this one's a little cooler. That one has a little more red in it. And we are just gonna mix the two to help me further deepen this outer corner. This guy right here. We are going to pack that. And by packing, I mean you're gonna stamp it down and you are going to pat, pat, pat instead of swirling. You're just gonna swipe and pat down. And we're gonna put that closest to the outer corner. All right, so next things next, we're gonna do a tight lining liner. We're using the Urban Decay Zero, the 24/7 Glide On liners, and then, where did it be? I'm gonna use the Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Liquid Liner to line it out. Now, what's important about tight lining, why it's uncomfortable, I don't like it, I agree with all of those things, but when you're wearing false lashes, and we are today, I'm gonna use the Kiss Brassiere lashes. You want a tight line because it grabs any space that's gonna cause the natural skin color to peek through, and you want to hide that as much as possible. The way to do that is by tight lining. So we're going to go ahead and take a minute, take a moment of silence. Very serious stuff. Let's line our eyes. So to tight line, you want to keep it as close as possible to your lash line. Whew, it's weird. Weird. As close as you can to your lash line. Below your lash line, you want to make sure that you get that area too. And then now we're going to create our wing and wing it out. So give me a second, I'll be back. All right, great guys. Prayers do get answered because this came out. Okay. So next we're going to move on to our lashes, and I have already pre-cut my lashes. You always want to cut from the ends, like the outside, where it flares out. That's where you want to cut, just because there is a purpose to how they're tapered, and if you're cutting from the inside, you're gonna kind of mess that part up. So I'm going to use my little applicators, and I'm using the Duo Quickset glue. It's got like a silicone tip, which I freaking love because this glue dries in no time. It is amazing how quickly this glue dries. And so I'm just gonna apply a thin layer to the band. Playing with the band a little bit, wiggling it like this, straightening it out. And then the other thing that I can recommend is cut enough off so that your lashes start about where your eye, so that it doesn't bother you and it's not really coming off in the inner corner. Most of the times when clients complain about their lashes, it's because that inner corner is poking them, and you do not want that. So this glue takes less time than your other duo glues to set, which I love because then I could just do this and pop them right on. While that glue is setting on the other strip, I'm just going to take advantage and I'm going to hide the strip on these lashes. Boom. Boom, ding, boom, boom. Let's zoom you guys out. Oh, hello people. All right. Okay, great. So lashes are on, which is great. Let's work on the rest of this face here. So we're gonna use two primers, combination skin. So I have a oily midsection, and then I've got some dryness going out in the outer perimeter, but the foundation that we're using is also a matte finish foundation. When I use a matte finish foundation, because I personally don't like to be completely flattened out, I like to use a luminizing primer. So for the midsection, we're gonna use the Porefessional by Benefit. That's gonna help hide my pores, smooth out any texture that I have in those areas. And then we're gonna use the L'Oreal Magic Lumi Light Infusing Primer on the outer perimeter of my face. That's gonna help me get the finish that I want by using a primer that has luminosity in it versus something that's gonna further mattify my face. So I like to use a pea-sized amount of this on the center of my face. Pore filling primers are really a godsend, especially because not only does this absorb oil, but I have very large pores in my midsection, and it is very important to me to fill those up. Otherwise, the foundation will sit there and it will not be a good moment, like at all. So this area really is important for me to work that in. And then the Lumi is a very nice drugstore illuminating foundation. Illuminating primer. There's also a Lumi foundation, but this is the primer. And so what this does is it picks up any type of light and it manipulates it and bends it so that your face looks nice and hydrated versus looking flat and dry. And you just want to make sure you're working that into the skin. So there you go. Let's actually get you guys a little closer. So there's that. I like it, perfect. So the foundation that I'm talking about is the Smashbox 24-hour wear foundation. I don't have the actual bottle just because I've been getting some samples from work. So you guys know I work for Sephora part-time, and then I am a full-time nurse. So part-time job comes through. I am in the shade 2.18. There are so many shades. I can't remember exactly how many, ranging from neutral to warm, light warm, cool tone, so it has a shade for everyone. And the way that I've been liking to apply this lately is I've been painting it on. Real Techniques foundation brush. So I will paint it on. A little bit is gonna go a long way. The coverage on this is insane, as you can tell. A little bit goes a long way. I just like to make sure that I work it in and kind of spread it out with this, like so. And then I have gone in with my sponge. This is a beauty blender. This is a Swirl beauty blender. I will say this, I love beauty blenders. Do not get the Swirl. This thing is like way different than any other beauty blender I've ever used. I don't know what it is, but anyways. So then I've been going in after I have used my brush, and I have been pouncing the beauty blender and blending it into my face. But can you guys see the fullness? The coverage is crazy. It is such a good foundation. The wear time on this is very good. Very, very good. I remember the other day I went out and I was like outside at a birthday party. It was humid, so hot, but my friends were eating outside and I just, of course, wanted to spend time with them and fellowship with them. And I could feel my foundation. I could feel like the humidity starting to like heat up my body, and I could feel the sweat start to come on. Foundation didn't move. It was gorgeous. Oh, yes, so gorgeous. Okay, great. So next we are going to contour. And for contouring, I have been doing plenty of cream contouring, and I have been loving this Wet n Wild makeup stick, contour stick in the shade Calming Maple. It is freaking gorgeous. And so what I will do is I will actually take my Sephora Duo concealer and multitasker brush, and I will actually just take from the stick itself, get that on the brush, and then I will work it into the areas that I want. And then finishing it off always with a nice little pounce. I just love the way that the Beauty Blender just pushes things into the skin. I don't know if it's because of my large pores. I just always do it as a best practice. Finish everything off by pushing it in with the Beauty Blender. I've always gotten great results that way. Clients often ask me, what do you think is the best way to apply product, to apply foundation, creams, etc. to your face? And I will always say, for me personally, I go in with a brush and then I finish with the Beauty Blender. It just has always worked the best for me. So I'm gonna do the same thing around the forehead area, temple, forehead area. I just like to make sure that everything is uniform. Concealer that I've been liking a lot, and I think we've talked about this on my channel, is the Infallible, the L'Oreal Infallible Concealer. I really like this. I do have other concealers to try, one being the Touche Eclat Radiant Touch Concealer, which is a full coverage concealer by YSL. What? I know, but that will be for another time because I'm trying to keep this simple, stick to what I know. We'll do a first impressions later. So I'm going to use the shade Pecan, which is my concealing shade, to conceal under the eyes, and then to highlight, we're going to go in with Oatmeal. I like Pecan because it's like a peachy undertone to it, so it does help to color correct some of the darkness that I have there, but it is not super orange to where I am like having to undo what I just did. The nice thing about this foundation, guys, is that it is very full coverage, so you don't have to use as much concealer. Like the only areas that I felt like I needed concealer were like the very inner corners here where I have some darkness. So it's nice because you don't have to use a lot of product unless you really, really need it. So now that I've blended out the concealer shade, I'm going to use Oatmeal to just highlight a little bit. And this is literally only going like here. And then here. Which are the high points of my face, so I can accent those more. And then here, just a little bit on the nose. As See how that just like brightens up that area there? You liking it? I'm liking it so far. Okay, cool. So the next thing that we're gonna do is take my MAC Studio Fix C2 shade, and I'm gonna use my sponge, and we are going to set it with this first, and then we can go in and set it with some loose powder. But this helps to keep everything in place and also like brighten some stuff up. You see that? I don't know, I felt weird about using a sponge, something wet and like a stiff pressed powder like that, but guys, it's life-changing. I recommend it. Try it. Try it out. I do it with my Kat Von D powder, my NYX powders. This powder has been life-changing for underneath the eye area because it is also a powder foundation. So again, with the whole using less cream products under my eyes, I can set with this, add further coverage, and not feel like my concealer is gonna like crease up and cake up. So we're done with that guy. Next, I'm gonna go into my Maybelline Fit Me Fair Powder, and we're going to use that as loose powder around the under eye area. And this is honestly, baking is more for the longevity of the makeup. And I'm just gonna do that right there. Very cool. So that's gonna set. We're gonna finish our under eye area, and to do that, we're gonna go back to the first brush that we used and the first shadow that we used. We're gonna smoke this out all the way around, all the way to the inner corner. I know I usually leave that area open for like a lighter sparkly shade, but I want drama. Nice. Take a moment, we're gonna line the bottom lash line with some black. So I'm gonna take a nice stiff brush like this guy here, and we're gonna dip into those two dark browns, and we are going to smudge out that black liner some. Okay, nice. So once all that is done, now we can move on and take off any excess stuff that we have here. Let's continue to bronze up, and we are going to do that with our NYX palette. So for the NYX palette, we're gonna contour first, and then we're gonna bronze. And to contour, I'm gonna use these two shades here, which are like cool tones, and we are going to contour it up. I'm gonna use this BH Cosmetics number 3. And I like this guy because it's fluffy, but it's also tapered and pointed. Keeps the colors where I put them and blends them out. So this is just going over all of our creams. So anywhere where you place that cream, Wet n Wild contour is where you are going to put this guy, and just follow your face shape. This guy, it is called Bloom Time by Wet n Wild, and it looks like this. It's very pretty, and I like this guy because I like to kind of bring it a little lower and blend it into the blush. You guys see that? Beautiful. It's like a rose gold. It's very pretty. And I've been putting highlight like in the center of my cheeks lately. It just has worked out beautifully in photography, because you know sometimes when, unless you're doing this the entire photo, but when you're looking straight on, it helps to grab it too. The entire tutorial. So we're going to use the ABH Cosmetics Bali Blushing in Bali 6 color and highlight palette, and I'm actually going to mix these two together, which is Coral and Lychee, and we are just going to pat that into place. I've been on a like no blush vibe lately, which is okay, but we're going to do a subtle blush vibe today. So for lips, I'm going to grab my Huda Beauty Spice Girl lip liner, and then I'm going to take my number 7 Highshine lip gloss in, what is this? Naturally Nude.